Alright, Peace and Greetings YouTubers. So welcome to another edition of Your Questions, My Answers. In this series, I just answer a bunch of questions that you all have sent me. Now, I haven't done one of these in like a year, so there's been some questions that were sent and I forgot what they were, so I'm sorry, but if I did not answer your question, just send it again because I kind of forgot and it's lost in all of the comments of the past, however many dozens of videos I've made. But I did try to write down most of them. If I don't get to your question in this one, just try to, just send another one. I did get your question about the standardized test, but I'm actually going to do it in a different video because I don't want to do it in this one. So just sit tight. The person that asked me about that one, I'm going to talk about that one in a different video, planning something different for that subject matter. So one of the questions that was asking me was, what has it been since the changes dealing with your father? Long story short, they asked me about, I guess, what it's been like since my father died. So my father died last July 11th, 2015. For me, at the moment, it's been an okay, I'm in an okay space. It's been an okay process. I didn't take his death too hard, mainly because we had a very good relationship and there wasn't that element of guilt or anything sitting on me or sitting on my conscience after he died. It's been a learning process. There's been some high points and some low points. The lowest point is adjusting to a new normal. That's the hardest thing. There's something I'm going to always miss. We were very family oriented, even though I did live 3,000 miles away. When I was there, when I would go visit, everything we always did was family oriented. Even like growing up, we always did everything as a family. So 5 o'clock we knew dinner was on the table. And not only that, but we had to eat dinner together, which I used to hate it as a teenager sometimes because you just want to kind of do your own thing. But the good thing is we always would have dinner and like conversations and stuff. And sometimes the TV would be on and we'd be watching whatever little game show was on. But most of the time it was like we were able to do things as a family. So those are things I miss. And like playing Taboo and stuff as a family. I miss things like that. And just knowing that I'm not really going to get that back, it makes it very hard. And then I guess the other thing, is that, you know, when you have big tragedies, you start seeing the world a little differently. And so sometimes people who have been in your life may not necessarily play the same role anymore. So there's some friendships and things like that that kind of dissolve over time. And it's not because of love lost, but it's just people are going on a different journey. So, you know, there's been a few people that I've been very close to over the past few years who now we're kind of going on different journeys. And it's not a thing where there's, you know, I'm beefing with that person. But, you know, it's just sometimes there's a journey and they take an exit and maybe later down the line you meet back up in the middle. But for now, you know, there's been some relationships where the status of that relationship or the purpose of it has evolved or changed into something different. So I think that's probably the hardest thing. And then in addition, there's just some people who have been toxic and you kind of just, and I'm not one to cut people off. I'm a very loyal person. I love people to death, but it gets to the point where if people are, and it actually leads into the next question because somebody was asking me how do you deal with tumultuous relationships, so let me just keep going. But when it gets to a point where a friendship is toxic or you feel that you just are not able to be at peace. Every time you hear from that person, it's a nonsense. Or every time you just see their name in your phone, you get pissed off. Like, that's not healthy. Who wants to deal with that? So, you know, you give that person some time to figure themselves out, and you do the same, and maybe you both grow a bit, and later down the line, things are fine. But for the moment, you know, there's been some transitions. Anyway, moving on. This is a good one. Somebody asked me, do my feelings get hurt from some of the comments that are on my videos? Not really. My feelings, nah. Especially, and I think what they're really referencing is like when I make certain videos dealing with race or anything like that and I get a whole bunch of racist comments. Not really. Because when I'm making those videos, I expect for there to be the crazy comments from like trolls and stuff. And another thing is that when I do these videos, most of these videos I make between the hours of probably 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. So the only thing that does annoy me is I have the notifications on my phone every time I get a comment. So when I make a new video, you know, if I made a video like my Oscar So White video, that's kind of annoying because then when I wake up and I look at my phone, it's like, you black effing nigger, you black monkey, you black this, big A, you government cheese, welfare wearing, Obama loving, like I'm like, oh, okay, well damn. All right, okay, I see you mad, but no, that doesn't bother me because I expect that. You know, when you're talking about things that people don't like to hear, it's gonna, you know, they're gonna respond, and if they're not in a capacity to respond in the same context that you delivered the message, the only thing they know how to do is name call, or the only thing they know how to do is try to insult you. So I think the two things that would probably bother me, or where I get disappointed, is I get annoyed where people insult my intelligence. If I've done a really great video and the best thing they can do is try to insult me and tell me I'm an idiot. That's kind of what pisses me off. Like, really? I just made this 30-minute video and that's what you got on it? Okay, whatever. And I get disappointed when I do videos regarding our community, anything that's like Pan-Africanist, Black diaspora related, all of that, and when it's my own people that go against me on that. That's what frustrates me, especially because basically every video I've ever done dealing with black people, people who are African, Afro-Latino, what's in it, it's always something productive where I'm like, well, this is the issue we're having, this is what I think we should do to fix that issue so that we can be in a better position. So when I get comments where people may not necessarily understand the context of what my message was trying to imply and they start trying to cuss me out and they say some crazy stuff that doesn't even make sense, that disappoints me because I'm like, I hold us to a higher standard. So I'm like, dang it, I really, that video was 20 minutes. I thought I laid and covered every element because I know my videos are very long-winded, but I do that on purpose because I've always just been taught, if you're going to put out a statement that you know is going to bring controversy, make sure you cover all loopholes so that there's no question from the audience or that the audience has no concerns or they miss what you're trying to say. So I often make my videos very long when I'm talking about those things, and I really try to make sure that I cover all ground. So even when I've done all that and somebody still says something crazy, I'm like, what? Huh? So yeah, I got a lot of backlash from my own people in my video that I made about my 2 cents when I talked about the divide between Black Americans and Africans and why that should kind of be nipped in the bud. And even my video about the whole appropriation thing when it comes to black people and African clothing. Lots of crazy comments, and I'm like, well, what planet are some of y'all living on? Is that how y'all really think and operate? Okay, interesting. But yeah, so that's that. Oh, this is a good one. Somebody asked me my 2 cents on Janet and the baby. Listen, I love Janet to death, but when I tell you the rage, the rage that ensued when I woke up and my show was postponed indefinitely after it was postponed already for 8 months. If there was ever a day I cussed Janet out in my head, I was so livid. Like, let me just explain. If you follow me, Janet is one of my favorite entertainers. I've enjoyed Janet since I was a little child, and mainly like my father was a Janet Jackson fan, and his fandom rubbed off on me, and it kind of just carried over. And so I've always made an effort to, I got the albums, I go to the tours, but I was very excited about the Unbreakable tour, and watching the YouTube clips, it looks like a really great show. She's dancing again. She isn't just pacing the stage and then she does 1/8 count and paces somewhere. No, she was really dancing. Her microphone was on for most of the songs, and it was an arena tour. I'm like, okay, Janet, I'm with you. So, I had bought 2 different shows, or tickets for 2 shows. I bought the New York show and DC show. And, to be honest, the day I bought my tickets was actually the day I was flying home from my dad's funeral. So I bought the ticket. I'm like on the plane because that's when the tickets, went on sale. I'm like trying to board the plane, and I'm trying to do Ticketmaster on the phone. And because all the tickets are selling out, I can't get anything. I had to go on StubHub and get it. I'm all on the tarmac trying to get my tickets and all. So I had just been waiting. So when she first initially delayed my show for 8 months, I was like, Janet, what are you doing? What are you doing? And she's like, I got some kind of procedure I need. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, Janet, whatever. So then, fast forward, it's like March, and I'm like, okay, my show's in August. I got 5 more months. And then on top of that, the person I was going to go to the New York show with, they're like, F that, give me my money back. I ain't waiting for her. So, okay, so I bought their ticket from them, and, I had another friend who was going to fly in and come with me, and we're going to go to New York and just have a whole great weekend and stuff. So when I woke up, and I saw that video with her laying on that bed with them glasses on, and I was like, like, I was so mad. And the funniest thing is, like, my coworkers know that I really, really like Janet. And it was so funny because I didn't want to go to work because I knew they were going to cook me when I walked in. I knew they were going to cook me. And, like, I put on some shades. I didn't want to be bothered. And, like, it was crazy. The minute I walked in the door, like, literally, they just saw the brim of my hat go through the doorway. And all of them, and I'm just so pissed. F each and every one of you. I was so pissed. But anyway, good luck to her and the baby. That baby better be so cute because, man, Janet, if you don't reschedule my show, like, man, because I really think this is going to be like the last tour. This is it, I think. I think she's going to retire and go enjoy her life, which she's entitled to. She doesn't owe us anything. So, Janet, do you? But yeah, I was pissed about that show being canceled. But it's cool that she's having a baby. If that's what makes her happy, good for her. I got time for, let me do a few more. Next question was asking me about Generation Black. And Generation Black, if you follow me, it was a web series that I did back in the end of 2013 and the first portion of 2014. And that web series was a learning experience. It was a huge, huge, huge learning experience. I loved it though. That show was my baby. That's probably the first time I really went into like a directing role. Like that web series I wrote and directed, starred in, co-produced, edited or co-edited. Did hell, I sang half the theme song with the original person who produced it with me. I put my foot into it. Well, we put our foot into it. It was a lot of work, and unfortunately, the issue was that we just didn't know what we were doing. You know what I mean? It was such a great idea. The concept was great, but because we had never done anything of that caliber before, there were lots and lots of lessons learned during the process, and there were just a bunch of things that happened. Like one issue we had with the specific cast is that none of the cast was in the same area. So I had a castmate who lived in Virginia Beach, which was like 3 hours from where we were. I had a castmate who was in Baltimore, which depending on traffic is like an hour, somewhere in DC. And we were filming out of Alexandria, Virginia. So it would be very hard to get everybody to come together to film. And then it would always seem like every time it was time to film, something would happen. Somebody would get sick, somebody would have to go to the hospital, somebody would have to work last minute, something would happen. And so it was so hard for us to keep getting together to film, so our production just kept moving further and further back. The original plan was I started writing all the episodes between January and March of 2013, and then we did all the development in probably April, May, June, just the logistics of how the episodes were going to go, who was doing what. We went and recorded like the theme song and stuff like that, the different cameras we were going to use, the equipment we wanted to use, the kind of laptops, because there's a lot of money that goes into it as well if you want it to be good quality, and just learning things. And I was trying to find mentors and stuff that could help me figure out what I was doing. And then we did the auditions in the summer, I think around July, August, and everything like that. And the plan was after the auditions we would start filming around October and November, and maybe the end of September. So we did the auditions. I gave the scripts out for the first 4 episodes, and the plan was we have the first 4 episodes filmed before we launched in December, and then we do the last 6 around January, February, and that would be the first season. And it just didn't go that way because there were so many issues with the production and just getting things accomplished. So it just made it harder because it was like, we did, and then we did a launch party as well. So it was like, and the launch party was nice, by the way. We did it at Howard University. I got Dr. Carr, who's just basically the freaking P. Diddy, well, that might be insulting, who's like the freaking Malcolm X super important person on campus that everybody loves. So I got him to be like our speaker. I got some dancers and stuff to perform. It was like a ballroom setting, black tie affair. We had the little red carpet in the background, photo shoot. It was nice, but we just ran into so many issues. So by the time we launched, we only had that first episode ready. And then so it took a minute to redo the second one. There were some issues with the third episode we had to do. The fourth episode took the longest to film because there were so many scenes, and it was a lot. And an issue I ran into as well was like sometimes my cast, as much as I loved them to death, sometimes because it was a situation where we weren't able to really compensate people the way we wanted to, because initially there was no money coming in. It was just all going out. We were spending so much money filming that thing, and then you want to still feed your cast and everything. Some of them might not have taken it as seriously, so some of them weren't really learning the lines correctly, and it would throw the context of the script off, and we'd have to go and redo scenes. And we'd shoot an episode, and then we start editing it maybe 2 weeks later, and then we recognize, okay, we did this whole scene wrong. We got to do it again. We got to call everybody back. So you got to drive back from your city. You got to drive back from yours. You got to do it again. And so there were lots of retakes. And then one funny story. How much time is it? Okay. Sorry for it. I know that's annoying to y'all, but I got to keep doing that. One funny thing is like when we were filming the third episode or a scene from it, it required us to be outside. And this is why I was talking about we planned on doing the filming in September, October, November, before it got too cold. So we had been delayed. The third episode was supposed to have been out, so we're cramming to get this episode filmed. And so we're filming it, and it's the scene that we have to do outside. And we shot it right by my community center. And what I did is I opened my community center that day so my kids would not be in the way because we were filming it outside on the basketball court. So, I made all the kids, y'all go inside, go on the computers, play video games. We're filming outside. That weekend was the coldest weekend of 2013. There was a polar vortex issue going, I'm sorry, it was 2014 at that point. It was 2014, like January, February, one of those time periods. That polar vortex was going on. It was so cold the kids couldn't go to school that week. And I'm like, how are we out here filming this scene? And the person I was working with was like, no, well, we gotta film this and we gotta get it done now because it's now or never. I'm like, okay. And so that same week I was not feeling good. Like my tonsils were swollen. You could see them like protruding like out of my little, whatever that is down here. And like I had been on some meds. I couldn't really eat because I couldn't even swallow. So I was like dehydrated. It even hurt to drink. And so I wasn't feeling good. I was already on all kind of pills and NyQuil and everything else. And we're out here freezing. And I'm like, y'all, I don't feel right. Can we take a break? And it didn't help that the people in the scene, because this specific scene it didn't require any of our original cast. It was like 2 other additional people. And they didn't have the lines down. It's cold. I'm like, F this. Can we stop? We need to take a break. My co-producer's like, no, we're not taking a break. We need to do this now. I'm like, okay, well, y'all go ahead. I need to go inside. I don't feel right. So I'm going inside. I'm like, let me just go inside. And maybe I'm just too cold. Let me warm up. Because literally it was like 4 degrees outside with the wind blowing. And I remember I get inside my community center. And all I remember is somehow I don't remember what happened. I just know I woke up on the floor by the water fountain. So long story short, I passed out because of what was going on outside in the extreme conditions. And I woke up by the water fountain. And what pissed me off is I was like, I'm laying on the floor trying to figure out what's going on. All my kids are in the center just on the computers and video games. I'm like, do none of y'all see me on the floor? I could have been dead. So, I cussed them kids out so bad that day. I didn't really cuss them out, but you know what I mean. And then the worst part, we couldn't even use any of the footage in the long run because the wind blew so hard that day that the sound was all messed up. That was another issue we had, is we never mastered the sound. That's a thing that we had got wrong. We didn't have the sound right, so the sound on all the episodes was jacked. And we used to debate on things because originally the episodes had a laugh track, and I thought the laugh track was stupid, but they were like, no show's funny without the laugh track, and they had convinced me to do the laugh track because we watched an episode of Martin without a laugh track, and it was a totally different experience. So I was like, fine. Because my original plan was like, well, why don't we do like how Modern Family does, where you just have whimsical music on scenes that are supposed to be funny and vice versa. And so the first 2 episodes have a laugh track. The last 2 don't. And it was the 3rd one doesn't, but it didn't have any whimsical music, so it just was very, I don't know, it didn't come out right. The 4th one has the whimsical stuff. And so all kind of mess. So it was lots of trial and error. But I love that show. It was a lot of fun. Lots of laughs. And I would bring it back if I could, but I can't because my cast is all over. There's been some great opportunities to come for a lot of people in the cast. Like one person is traveling and doing plays. Another just actually did a pilot for TV1, which is cool. Another's, pursuing music. Another moved to New York. One's in China. So it's like everybody's doing a bunch of different things. I'm doing my little things that I'm not going to tell you all about until they actually matriculate and become more serious, because I don't like to put things in the atmosphere and then be lying and then I got to come back. I was just playing, y'all. But no, I love the message behind the show, and it's still up on YouTube. I just don't reference it because it's something where I'm like, dang, if I knew what I knew now, that show would be so much better. But I still think it's a great show. And that was the other thing. The show was long. Like, the episodes were like 35 minutes. They weren't the typical 9 or 10 minutes like a lot of web series, and that's what would take us so long to do the editing and stuff, because it was so much to do. Like, the first episode editing, I think we had like 400 and something different clips we had to sift through and edit and pull, and different camera angles. It was a lot, but I really enjoyed it. It was my first time really in a director role, and so that gave me the, I guess, motivation to do additional things in the future. So that was a lot of fun. Generation Black, it's probably not ever coming back, but if it does come back, it'll come back in a different element, and this time I know what I'm doing. But it was a lot of fun. That's probably, I wouldn't look at it as a failure. It was a learning experience. So, plus we got okay views, and people liked it. It was just the kinks we needed to work out, but it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing that show. I think I'm out of time. Yes, I am. So yeah, I'll do another one of these quickly or very soon. There's a lot of questions that I did not get to. If you have questions or things you'd like to know, or just things you would like me to possibly discuss or suggest, just put it in the comment section. I'll get to it. And yeah, there's a lot of videos that I am overdue to make, to be very honest. There's a lot of things I want to say. And I know some of you guys are like, how come you don't do videos as frequently? But sometimes, to be very honest, if I don't have anything to say, I just can't get in the habit of just putting out videos to put out videos. I know there's some bloggers who do like, oh, Monday this, Tuesday that. I can't. If I don't have anything to say, I'm not just going to force a video out, because then it's not really genuine. Then I'm just putting out content to put out content. So there's moments where I just have no motivation. There's nothing I want to say. And then there's other moments where you guys get a good week and I put out something like 4 times that week. So just bear with me. I try not to go more than 2 weeks without doing a video though. But I will try to be a little bit more consistent. But there's a lot going on in life at the moment. I'm trying to make some really major, drastic changes. So bear with me. But anyway, thanks for subscribing and hanging with me. Hang in there. Have a great evening.